Pete Blackburn from Bally Sports, covers the sport of hockey, and he was with us right after the stadium game a few weeks ago. Actually, it's a month ago now, and he joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Sir, thank you for your time. Let's get into we'll start with the Metro, and then we'll fan out to the East. Right now, it's obvious Hurricanes are going to make it. The Devils and the Rangers are going to be those two teams will be 1, 2, and 3 in some order. Right now, it's Carolina, New Jersey. The Rangers, New Jersey, and Carolina could jockey back and forth. The Rangers are not out of it, and with 2 games against the Hurricanes this week, the Rangers could get within 2 of Carolina. So how do you see those 3 teams stacking up against each other, and then we'll worry about who's fourth?
Are you talking about Carolina, New Jersey, and the Rangers?
Yes.
I mean, I think there's a 1A and 1B there, right? And it's Carolina and New Jersey. I think that those 2 teams are the class of that division. And then you talk about the Rangers. Yeah, they're sexy. They obviously had a bunch of big ads at the deadline. They got some big names. I don't trust their defense. I don't trust their defense to carry them on a deep playoff run. I don't like what they have on the back end. We saw it with the Florida Panthers last year. They had like a historically good offense during the regular season. You can't outscore your problems in the playoffs. It just isn't how it works. So I'm not looking at the Rangers in the same echelon as the other 2 teams there. No.
And I think the other issue for the Rangers is that Igor Shesterkin is not the Igor Shesterkin of a year ago. Is that fair?
I don't know, because he can be when it comes to the playoffs. Like, it's a fresh slate in the playoffs, and I think that he's an all-world goaltender. And sometimes there is a switch with guys like that. And if the games matter the most, you could see the same Igor Shesterkin. So I'm certainly not willing to write him off.
Are the Devils as good defensively as they need to be?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think the Devils are a very, very good defensive team. They're very good with getting the puck out of the zone quickly. I think they're really, really structured. I love what they have. The only area of concern for me is what they have in net and whether that's going to hold up and be sustainable over the course of a long playoff run. Well,
isn't that? I mean, I cover the Hurricanes on a day in, day out basis. And and I went on with the fourth period on Sirius XM over the weekend, and that's my number one fear right now. I mean, they don't have a goaltender that I would trust going into the postseason.
Yeah, so I have a few areas. Like, I think the Carolina is a great team. I wanted to see them add a bit more at the deadline, and I believe that we talked about that about a month ago. I wanted to see them solidify the center position. I wanted to see them add a little bit of a scoring touch on the wing, and they made some smaller deals, obviously, that I liked in terms of value, but nothing that moved the needle too significantly. Mm-hmm. And now with the injury to Svechnikov, I think you're really missing what you didn't do at the deadline. And so that's going to concern me. But when we talk about the playoffs and going on a deep run, arguably the most important thing to have is goaltending. And I'm not fully secure in what the Hurricanes have in net.
And that's exactly where I am. Pete Blackburn from Bally Sports is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. The part of me thinks that Rod is really trying to get Pyotr Kochetkov back to the Kochetkov that we saw for basically the entirety of November into December. There was about 6 weeks where he was Linus Ullmark, Pyotr Kochetkov, like the 2 best goalies in the sport for almost all of that 6-week period from November into just before the holidays hit. But he hasn't been that guy since. And right now, Carolina's rotating their goalies back and forth. And Pyotr's gotten the tougher assignments than Freddie Anderson has. I just think that Rod's trying to maybe not force it, but he's giving Kochetkov the chance to win that gig.
Right, like the door's open. If there's an opening to be had, he's giving as much as he can for it to stay open. And it's funny because I just did a hit for Bally Sports, and we were talking about the Calder race, and I think that Matty Beniers is going to win the Calder, but I feel like that race died when Kochetkov fell off and was sent down.
Yep.
Like, he was a guy that I was looking at. Okay, he can really contest Matty Beniers here in what seems like it might be a one-horse race. because of the impact that he's having in net for that team. And obviously it hasn't worked out, and I think Benir's going to win, but like Kochetkov still could be that guy and be a difference maker for this team in the playoffs.
I think his best is better than the other two options at their best. That's how good I think Kochetkov has been at his best, but his baseline is lower than Freddie's, and they might just be like, well, Freddie gives us a steadier goaltender, even though he's not really great right now either. Canes will take on the Rangers the next two nights. All right, so I haven't had the time to do this research, and I'm not thinking that you did either, but can you recall a player with 4 late third period game-tying goals in a season? Forget about the 3 overtime winners that Martin Necas had. But 0.2 or 0.3 seconds left in Philly, he ties it. 12 seconds left against San Jose at home last month, he ties it. Then at Winnipeg, 39 seconds left. He ties a game they have no business getting into overtime, and he did it in Philadelphia earlier this season with 2:05 left. That's just freakish, no?
It is, and I'm an analytics guy, right? Like okay. I look at all the numbers. I like to have as much information as possible, but sometimes it's undeniable that there is an element to some guy has it and some guy doesn't when it comes to the clutch gene. Like I think that there is a non-tangible element to sports. And when a guy comes up in the final minute that many times, you kind of have to resign yourself to there's something we can't identify, but it exists.
Yes. Look, he's an incredible skater. I'll go back to the tournament, the playoffs where you were just playing in your division, and Carolina had to play Nashville. And as a team, Carolina wasn't playing very well. They were ahead in the series, but they weren't playing very well. And Necas, down a goal, middle of the third period, had this ridiculous wraparound, 100-mile-an-hour goal that got them even, and they ultimately won it in overtime. He has a knack for scoring big goals, and
he's an electric player. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that his overall game the last month hasn't been as good, but the scoring has not gone away. And a lot of players that it'll all go at the same time. Necas has had some puck management issues, but he scored a bunch of really big goals, which makes you forget that, well, why did he make that pass? He was responsible for 2 goals against who they just lose to the other day. I'm just completely in Toronto. He was responsible for 2 of their 3 goals in against the Leafs, but he comes back and he has a big game. All right, of the Panthers, Penguins, and Islanders, who's winning that battle, or which 2 teams are winning those battles for the wild card spot?
So I think that the Penguins are going to end up in there just because they've got talent, they've got good coaching. Like I would take their coaching advantage over the other 2, I think that the Panthers are better than the Islanders, but the Islanders have better goaltending, and goaltending could end up be the difference there. Like Ilya Sorokin has been awesome all year long with a team that has not done him many favors in front of him. Yep. So. If that holds, the Islanders will probably get in when they don't really deserve to be there. I would rather see the Panthers.
Yeah, they're a fun team. No question. They look to be figuring it out as well. And final thing, Pete Blackburn, I appreciate your time. The Boston Bruins are 5 points away from clinching the division, and as I look, they've got 13 games left, and we're 5 points from clinching the division. It is incredible. Toronto's got 93 points, and they can't even see the Bruins from where they are in the standings. How do you sum up what they are, and also understanding that doesn't matter when the playoffs start?
So, it's been a real internal chaotic experience for me as a Bruins fan this season, where I'm trying my best to enjoy it in the moment and not look too far ahead. And because the expectations have shifted. Now it's, if they don't win the Stanley Cup, it's going to feel like a disappointment. But you also kind of have to live in the moment and be like, we're watching one of the best teams in the history of the NHL's regular season. And if you can't appreciate that, then why are you even watching games 1 through 82? Just start watching this team during the playoffs. And so I'm wrestling with it, right? And you talk about like President's Trophy winners never win the Stanley Cup anymore, and it seems to be a curse more than it is a blessing. So it is a hard reset once game one of the playoffs starts. So all of your laurels, you can't rest on them starting game one of the playoffs. That being said, there is really not too much of an identifiable weakness with this team. And that makes me feel really good heading into the playoffs, and especially given the sustainability of it. There was a stretch where the Bruins lost, I want to say 4 games in a row a couple months ago. And everybody was slamming the panic button. And if that's the worst stretch that you have during an 82-game season, you're doing pretty good.
They are 3-0 against the Islanders, just in case you were wondering if the Islanders get into wild card 2. So Boston hasn't even had any trouble with them. Pete Blackburn, Bally Sports, covers the sport of hockey. I appreciate your time, man. We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
You got it.